Welcome to the Virginia Hospital and Healthcare Association's Patients Come First podcast series. Podcast episodes are available on youtube.com and on popular podcast hosting apps including Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, and many others. We're a member of the Virginia Audio Collective and the World Podcast Network. Podcast episodes also air Sundays at 10 a.m. on 100.5 FM, 92.7 FM, and 8:20 a.m. across Central Virginia, and 16:50 a.m. in Hampton Roads. Please send questions, comments, feedback, or guest suggestions to pcfpodcast@vhg.com. That's pcfpodcast@vhg.com. Today, we're pleased to be joined by Kris Robey, Violence Intervention Specialist at Carilion Clinic, who joined us for a conversation about how her personal journey has impacted her work, the work of hospital-based violence intervention programs and supporting survivors, and more. So welcome, and thanks for being with us today, Kris.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
So return podcast listeners know we like to start these conversations by getting to know our guest a bit better. Beyond your work as a violence intervention specialist at Carilion Clinic, our research indicates you also have experience as a model, in fashion, and as a trained esthetician. Beyond those details, tell us more about your unique personal story.
So honestly, I didn't choose this work. It chose me. After surviving violence, personal violence of myself, and there was a period that I was actually incarcerated. I came home determined to be the person I wish I had during my lowest point. I started sharing my story, connecting with others, and eventually found myself doing this work professionally. A good mentor of mine referred me to, HFIT work because I didn't know anything about it, didn't even know it existed. And I just fell in love with it and then never looked back since.
So your work as a violence intervention specialist with Carolion's Violent Injury Recovery and Support Program launched in June of 2023. The program focuses on helping patients 10 and older treated at Carilion Roanoke Memorial Hospital who have experienced an intentional violent injury. It offers a range of services designed to promote physical and emotional recovery for survivors after initial treatment. If you would, could you tell us about the support services provided to patients who engage in this voluntary program?
So basically, I walk beside people through some of the darkest moments. I just help them feel seen, heard, and held emotionally, spiritually, and practically. That's where the healing starts. Meeting them where they are, because they've experienced one of their most traumatic experiences, especially if they've never been through something like this before. And I just bring my lived experiences, my community connections, and healing in real time for the patients that we serve, and I just show up.
So programs like the one at Carilion are part of the Hospital-Based Violence Intervention Program, or HVIP model, which in Virginia is funded with a grant from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services through the VHG Foundation that supports staff physicians and the work of 12 HVIPs across 10 Virginia health systems. In Virginia, these programs not only support healing, but they have led to sharp reductions in re-injury rates and significant healthcare cost savings. Those are big picture successes. What I'd like to hear from your perspective is how this work is making a difference in the lives of some of the individuals you work with by helping them with healing, as well as mentorship, education, and more to help break the cycle of violence.
I think that without intervention, many patients would go back to the same environment that got them hurt. We're not just preventing violence, we're helping people stabilize their lives, reconnect with purpose, and actually survive long enough to thrive. When hospitals invest, in this kind of care, it shows patients that they're seen as people, not just cases.
And you kind of touched on this, but hospitals are places of healing and also occupy important support roles for charitable and philanthropic causes, and through programs focused on well-being like HVIPs. Now that you've been in your current role, I wonder what other things you've been pleasantly surprised to learn about the many ways hospitals contribute to communities.
I think that with Carilion, I've learned that, it is a big company here, but with our trauma team, I've learned that they really do care for the people, and they do see that the violence is, a health problem, a health issue that they can step in and be a part of. They're not trying to overshadow anybody, credit anybody else, but they are wanting to be a part of the solution, and they show up and they ask questions, and we meet with our clients, our patients, where they are, and find out what it is that we can do to help them, to restabilize them, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. And I'm going to say limitless resources, but there's a lot of resources that our hospital does have that we're able to connect, our patient clients with that they probably didn't even know existed. So I think that's what I really love about Carillion.
From what I gather, you came to this work through personal experience as a survivor of violence. If you would, can you share more about how your life experiences led to your current role and how it informs your approach to that work?
Yes. So, like I briefly spoke on beforehand, I was a victim of violence, and I was on the other side, before I actively did the work. So I can relate to the patient now because, I was lost. I didn't have any direction. I didn't know, I was just like spinning out of control in my head, basically. I made bad choices, chose bad coping skills, i.e. like alcohol, things like that, to numb me, which led me even down the wronger, I don't think that's the word, but even a more wrong path of destruction, really, and landed me in prison. But while I was in prison, I was able to, look at myself and really do the work and take accountability and start substance treatment, things of that sort. And when I came home, I continued therapy and continued on working on myself, finding resources for me. So, when I didn't have somebody, I just knew that I wanted to be somebody for somebody else, that they didn't go through what I went through with mental health or, just that trauma, and not being able to fully understand what it is that you're going through, or even just feeling alone. So I did the work with myself, and I came back to help others.
I really love that answer. Thank you so much for sharing and your vulnerability. So, the phrase healing is possible is something of a mantra for you. What does that mean to you professionally and personally?
Well, we all know the phrase that hurt people, but also healed people can heal people. And I really feel like healing, it goes to the root. If we go to the root and we find out where it all started and we heal there, it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's possible. I mean, I'm a believer firsthand. I have seen it in my own personal growth, and I've seen it in other clients that I've worked with. And as long as you just stay consistent, take accountability, and, choose to work on it, choose yourself every day, it can happen.
I love that answer. And for someone listening to this who may have experienced community or personal violence, or may need services along those lines of those provided by HVIP programs, what message would you share with them about getting help and breaking that cycle?
I would say you're not alone. Even in a world, or even if you feel isolated and you feel that there's nobody out there that understands what you're going through, that's not true. I would say just speak up, or, simply go into these hospitals now that we have these programs and just speak to somebody. I know a lot of, cultural backgrounds are scared to speak up because of systems that were designed to fail them. But I also believe in, breaking those curses. And I think just speaking up just one time, or that can really change. And just that little bit of vulnerability can make an impact.
I love that so much. Thank you. And thank you so much for being with us today. Before we let you go, we do have a tradition to close things out by asking guests a pair of surprise questions. To keep things interesting, we have a list of 10 mystery questions. So please choose 2 numbers from 1 and 10, and I'll ask you the corresponding questions.
3.
Number 3, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received, and why does it stick with you?
The best piece of advice? That's a good question. Just do what makes you happy. If it's life is short.
Do you want to pick another number?
Okay, number 9.
Number 9. If you miraculously granted one wish, what would you wish for?
Number 9. If I could make one wish, I think it would be to see my grandma again. My grandma's passed. It's been couple decades now, actually. But yeah, it was just to see her, just to give her a hug. That would be my wish.
It's really beautiful. I love that. Thank you for answering these questions. And that will bring us to the close of another episode of the Virginia Hospital and Healthcare Association's Patients Come First podcast. If you like what you heard, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. And we want to once again thank our guest, Kris Robey, Violence Intervention Specialist at Culinary Clinic, for joining us today. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.